What if I told you that the medication, bottle of fancy shampoo, the coffee, the soap, the toothpaste that you just got from the store are fakes? Many goods available online are fake. There is almost no difference in packaging. They look as real. The practice of counterfeiting has been damaging Indian economy. India loses 1 lakh crore in taxation every year because of fake goods in the market. Counterfeiting happens across produce market, content, fashion, pharma, infrastructure, automobile, farming, and the list is endless. Even the national currency has a replica. Public health experts have been actively showing concerns regarding the circulation of fake food items in the market. The world is battling a global crisis. This has created a larger market for fake goods. In the past 6 months, all of us have witnessed a shortage of basic necessities in the local market. Masks and sanitizers of good quality were expensive. Between February and April, numerous cases of sale of fake PPE kits, masks and sanitizers were reported across India. Past few years have been crucial for India in terms of digital advancement. There has been a prominent increase in the use of digital technology. Online shopping is one of the new trends being followed by the people of every age group. This advancement might seem pleasant, but the reality is more than 30% of drugs sold online are fake. Millions of people lose their lives every year from counterfeit drugs. 20% of all accidents on road are due to fake automotive parts. Replicating an item and presenting a copy with same look and feel is easy business. Finding the authenticity of any product is challenge for majority of its consumers. The global economic value of counterfeit is expected to reach $2.3 trillion by 2020. To fight this, various companies have come up with technologies to detect the counterfeit. Unique QR codes, holograms and watermarks are used to stem counterfeiting, but even these have been duplicated. The laws exist to stop counterfeiting. Section 115(4) of the Trademarks Act 1999 provides special power to the police to search and seize any such product which calls for action against infringement of the trademark. Section 103 of the Trademarks Act penalizes the counterfeiter for applying false trademarks and trade descriptions. Section 104 of the Trademarks Act penalizes the counterfeiter for selling goods or providing services to which false trademark or false trade description is applied. A provision to Section 115(4) also mandates obtaining prior opinion from Registrar of Trademarks on facts of the offence. But the original manufacturer gets no compensation when fakes are found. Law enforcement needs to do its job. They have to make sure that the taxes for these goods get delivered to the government. But the companies need to get proactive in helping consumers understand the counterfeits. Hiding the fake in the market isn't beneficial for the consumer, the government, and the companies themselves. It is best to hold the bull by its horns than being an ostrich and hiding your head in the sand and thinking that by exposing the fake market, you will lose your own market. Too many fakes may drown your own company anyway. Possibilities of using blockchain exist to stem the corruption, but for that, all parts of the system needs to adopt it. That is certainly not in the interest of the corrupt. Shivani Singh, Democracy News Live, New Delhi.
Welcome to Democracy News Live, and It Matters is a show which we discuss issues that matter to you. Today, we're talking about fake goods that flood the Indian market. A very large part of the economy is stuck with a lot of fakes in the market. Forget, the daily vegetables and all of that, whether it's things we put inside our bodies which are fake, but all kinds of products are fake. And it's a very large part of the economy. It's not even funny the way this unfolds. The government loses a huge amount of taxes. The person who's using the product is not really getting the product they should be getting, because they get a product which is completely unresearched, which looks like that, it tastes like that, or the soap, maybe what you're using on your body may actually be harming your body rather than cleansing it. In the last few months, obviously, we've seen, because of the coronavirus, there has been a tremendous amount of disinfectants in the market. A lot of fake goods have been around. There have been a lot of activists who've been working on it, but companies sometimes don't act on it. So it's not just the fake creators or the corrupt bureaucrats in between who take money, or the policemen who protect these fake creators, or companies that actually make machines to be able to create the fake goods. Even companies themselves say, if people know that there are a lot of fake products of our product, then they'll stop buying these products, and that's going to go against us. So they want to put their head in the sand like an ostrich and say, it's all hunky-dory, we know 10, 15, but so be it. As long as our sales stay up, it doesn't really matter to us. So we've brought in 4 important guests today. All of them have a different side of the story. First of all, we have Dr. Ashish Jaiswal with us. He's a doctor. Now, it is surprising to know a large part of the drugs that you go and buy from medical stores are fake drugs, whether it's the paracetamols and many other. So you actually consume these medicines and say, I'll be all right, but you aren't. These are fake medicines. They have nothing. They're just chalk. And really, this has to stop. Also joining us today is Mr. Suresh Sati. He's been an activist. He's been offered tremendous amount of money to not showcase what he does. He goes out in the market and fights this. I've been, interacting with him for over a year now, and he's been talking about the kind of fake goods that are there in the market. He's coming on the show as well. Also joining us today is Tarun Khurana. Tarun Khurana is a co-founder and he's an IP attorney at Khurana and Khurana. What they work on is working with companies to make sure that their trademark is not violated. And they continuously work towards making sure that there are less fake goods in the market. Also joining me is a young entrepreneur, Swadhin. He's a designer from NIFT, and he's going to be talking about how it damages their brand when people take their brand and then take their logos as well. They say, all right, you want to copy our product? Go ahead, copy our product. That's fine. You can do nothing about it. In a country where it takes so long in a court system to actually get justice, you possibly never going to be winning IP, but copy the design. But why do you want to copy our logo? And I think that's what he's going to be talking about. So let me start first this show by bringing in Mr. Suresh Sati. Mr. Suresh Sati, you've been fighting this for a while. Explain to me how difficult it's been for you. Tell me about it. Give me a little sense of your journey in fighting against the fake free market.
पहले तो मैं आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं कि आपने इस विषय को शुरू किया। मीडिया इस विषय को उठाना ही नहीं चाहता है। आपकी बात का जवाब मैं सिर्फ एक लाइन से दूंगा। मेरी पहली रीड 1979 में बोरोलिन से शुरू हुई थी, और आज 40 साल बाद भी बोरोलिन मार्केट के अंदर अवेलेबल है फेक। 40 साल ऐसी क्या वजह है कि 40 साल में हम उसके नकली को खत्म नहीं कर पाए? बहुत दिक्कत है। इसको शुरुआत से हम ऐसे समझे, फेक जो वर्ड है वो कहीं हमारे कानून में है ही नहीं। कानून में जो शब्द आते हैं वो आते हैं काउंटरफीट, पास ऑफ, एडल्टरेटेड या सबस्टैंडर्ड। अगर हम काउंटरफीट कहते हैं तो काउंटरफीट का मतलब है इट रिलेट्स अस टू द ब्रांड ओनर। कानून में कहीं ब्रांड ओनर को यह नहीं कहा गया कि आपकी जिम्मेवारी बनती है, अगर आपका काउंटरफीट मार्केट में है तो आप उसको पकड़ें। ही इज नॉट बाउंड टू। नाउ अगर वो नहीं करता है उस पर कोई एक्शन, तो और किसी की जिम्मेवारी नहीं है, क्योंकि काउंटरफीट तो ओनर ऑफ द ब्रांड जो है वही करेगा उसको पकड़ने के लिए। सरकार की कोई जिम्मेवारी नहीं है, पुलिस की कोई जिम्मेवारी नहीं है, क्योंकि पुलिस भी ये कहेगी कि जो ब्रांड ओनर है वो हमारे पास आए, कंप्लेंट दे, तो हम एम्पावर होते हैं उसको पकड़ने के लिए। और फेक वर्ड हमारे उसमें है ही नहीं। अगर एडल्टरेटेड है तो एडल्ट्रेशन डिपार्टमेंट जो है फूड एडल्ट्री का वो पकड़ेगा। अगर सबस्टैंडर्ड है तो ड्रग कंट्रोल पकड़ेगा, फसाई देखेगा, या बाकी दूसरे डिपार्टमेंट देखेंगे। तो अभी तक तो हमारे यहाँ जिम्मेवारी तय नहीं है कि अगर फेक मार्केट के अंदर अवेलेबल है तो हु इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर दैट? नो
That's a
वन
very good point,
टेक्स
Mr. Sati.
रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी।
Mr. Sati, that's a very good
Yes.
point you're making. The point Mr. Sati is making is the word fake is lacking in the law itself. What's there is counterfeit, which is, the onus of the company. When they don't sue, there's nothing to be sued for. But there are a tremendous amount of people who are making money around this. The police, the law enforcement who work on adulteration, the legal system itself. And so what happens is all these fake goods float in the market. India, as a government, as an economy, loses 1 lakh crore. That's 100,000 crore rupees annually in taxation. But obviously, this money is landing up in parts in people's pockets who run the system. And certainly, the government would like this money in their coffer so that they can spend on the larger good. But that's not what happens. What happens is this money gets distributed amongst the bureaucrats and police, and the country stays poor. And the goods float in the market. People get to use products that are not really the right products. And the companies obviously stay quiet because there is a reason for them to stay quiet. Let me bring in Dr. Jaiswal here. Dr. Jaiswal, when you prescribe drugs to your patients, and you know sometimes that there are a tremendous amount of fakes in the market, and your patient's not really going to get the benefit of the drug you're prescribing, how bad do you feel?
It's always, it loses the confidence of patient in a clinician. Not in, if you're talking about the IPD practice in the hospital practice, it loses the confidence of the IPD patients or OPD patient to the system also. We have to understand how big problem in India it is. If you say the data, around 8 to 10% of all devices and around 20% of drugs which are floating in Indian market, they're all fake, they're all intimated, or they have some sham like thing. So ultimately, what is caused? It is causing more cost to the production because he has to put and instill some more specification into it. It will decrease the confidence of patients to the doctor, to the system. And so it can cause from disability to death. Suppose I'm just giving an example of pulse oximeter. We are widely using in COVID pandemic. If you put 4 pulse oximeter, all are sham, they have all different reading. So that not give the patient accurate oxygenation. So what it causes? Ultimately, maybe patient is going late to the hospital, or patient is go early to the hospital, and which he can be at home also. So things like this is happening too much in our practice. Patient come with their infrared thermometers which are fake, and they give a wrong reading that content is sort of anxiety and later on depression to the patient. If you're talking of the instruments and it's talking about the uh, substances which use in our hospitals like PPE, like gloves, if you're using these if they are not sterile, then they can cause infection to the patient. If suppose medications are not, it can cause death to the patient. So the problem is very, very much in Indian subcontinent and particularly in Delhi NCR. The problem is very much. And what I think the biggest issue is the law enforcement, the law reinforcement. The people are usually not taking care of this thing. India. There are multiple coordinators in India. Like for if you're talking about drugs, we have CDSCO, Central Drug Standard Corporation and Organization. We have Drugs and Cosmetic Acts. We have Ministry of Chemical. We have Ministry of Custom. So these all work independently. They are not under one umbrella. They should come under one roof and they work according. And then we get the desired result of it. Apart, we have in India you can steal data, you can steal technology, and you can make at the lowest rate, and that is what is called as jugaad in India. We are from our upbringing we read this word jugaad, and this jugaad is causing problem. And third, I think there is also a lack of awareness, more of poverty. Online selling, online marketing is so easy. People are there, no laws on it, so they are promoting their fake instrument or drugs or any medical instruments on online. So everything they're making a mess of it. So this is a bigger
Sure,
issue which
sure,
has to be discussed and which
sure.
has to be taken care of.
Sure. No, I agree with you. And, for a doctor, it becomes a challenge as you deal with challenges around patient doesn't really have the right metering, lands up in hospitals or gets fake drugs or infection because of poor quality PPE kits floating in the market as quality equipment. And these are all challenges and certainly causes great discomfort to society. Let me bring in Mr. Khurana. Mr. Khurana, you're a lawyer, you deal with all of this. explain to me why, for so long, for somebody like Mr. Sati who's been fighting this for since 1979, why has India not been able to handle it?
So, a variety of reasons for that. One is obviously, as the earlier speakers have talked about, the awareness as regards the brand owner is concerned. These are expensive legal actions. There are two types of actions that you could essentially take. One is on the criminal side, where you could actually go to the police station and file a complaint under the Trademarks Act, the Copyright Act, and the IPCs and the relevant provisions therein. And therefore, there is a separate level of involvement that you have to deal with as regards the police interaction is concerned, and then convince them, make them understand about what fake items are, what counterfeits are in general. Whether you're the brand owner, you'll have to get a copy or one of the alternate products, which so that you can compare your original product with the fake product. So there is a whole new challenge that has to be done and accomplished as regards the police station is concerned while undertaking criminal raids. And then if the police doesn't cooperate, you sort of go to the district magistrate and get an order from there, and then you undertake it under police with the police assistance. And the other route is essentially the civil side, where you actually go to one of the district or the high courts and file a civil action, which would not result in an FIR and or an imprisonment, but would essentially lead to an injunction, which means that a complete ban on the manufacturing of the product or manufacturing, selling, trading of the product. But both of these actions, although have their own pros and cons, they are, one, very expensive. Second, very difficult to enforce because when you're in an unregulated space, when you're, for example, making purses or shoes or small items which are easy to replicate, how you stop and who all? And what if he tomorrow goes to a neighborhood shop and then starts off another function in some other name? How many actions will you take? That becomes a major deterrent factor why entities have been reluctant to initiate proceedings of this nature, and therefore have been only attacking bigger players, bigger manufacturers. But if you look at it from a regulated market space where there are large companies trying to make products, they get enforced fairly efficiently because the companies don't. Because I don't want to take names, but yesterday we did a raid for one company in Aligarh, and then the police was very supportive, the SHO was very supportive. We were able to go seize about 160, 70 kgs of one fertilizer, which otherwise would have gone into the agricultural land and sort of led to severe destruction in decades to come, right? So I think it's not that people are not aware or companies are not aware. One challenge obviously is that how many will we take and against whom all? Because you have pan India, there'll be thousands of such infringers sort of floating around. So you have to be selective about it. Second, obviously, is
let's what the point you're making, I understand, but an expensive legal action is, you're talking about yourself because you're an expensive lawyer, not easy to hire. But on the other end, I think the government has a responsibility towards these companies. You collect enough taxes from these companies, and if their products are being copied, pushed in market, then you as the government have a responsibility to take this action. You may need to go to lawyers such as Mr. Khurana to make sure the action is good, but a whole chamber needs to sit, because India loses tremendous amount of taxes because of this counterfeiting, as they call it, or fake good market. And I think that's what needs to be handled. Mr. Khurana, you talked about the fake bags or whatever, small products. So we have with us one of the young gentlemen, Swadhin. Swadhin makes bags and he makes things like this. Swadhin, explain to me, when you go out and produce these goods, you're a young entrepreneur, and your bag gets copied, including your logo, how bad do you feel?
Okay, so basically, fashion is a fast-growing market. So every 2 months, every 1 month, new designs come in. We have to research a lot. We come up with lots of brainstorming, and we also come up with lots of new designs. And it is absolutely not easy to create, research, and then reach to a final design which can be sold. And then the next day we see someone has really ripped off our original design. Obviously we are the original makers, we can create new designs, but it's just really sad to see that because copying is not even easy, so they can create something else as well. It's not that कि okay fine है, इनके पास है ही, हम कॉपी कर लेंगे, हमारा टाइम बच जाएगा और पैसा भी आ जाएगा, but that is not the point. So And plus I also feel that in where accessories come in, brands and advertisement and marketing have created a want, such kind of a desire, such kind of a want, which people don't realize that it is not their need. It is just their desire of want that they want to fulfill. They don't know what will they do with a Louis Vuitton bag, but they just want a Louis Vuitton bag. So they end up buying a fake one instead of a real one. So if they want a fake one, they can't afford a fake one. Well, sorry, they can't afford a real one. So they end up buying a fake one, for which people are there to make a fake one which looks absolutely like a real one. So if we won't buy, goods won't be created.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. No, but it's a good point you make, Swadhin. Swadhin, I think it's a good point you make. I'll come back to you a bit later. So I think the point you're trying to make is that these fake goods actually take away the IP and the creativity away from people. There's like, why do I go out and create fresh goods when somebody's just going to steal it the next day and I'll have no market? People are not willing to research. It's not going to be, the creativity won't exist as much because people are not going to put in the effort and the resources and the money into it. And nobody wants to create IPs that are going to then be copied around, and counterfeiting is going to happen. Let me go back to Mr. Sati. Sati sir, you told me about how lots of very important goods are copied and they're fake and they actually will cause harm to people when they use them. Explain to me the kind of goods you've seen in the market and that you've done raids for and caught, which actually will harm people.
मैं आपके इस क्वेश्चन से पहले एक खुद क्वेश्चन करना चाहता हूं, जिसमें डॉक्टर साहब ने बात की थी कि दवाइयों के बारे में। 40 साल मैंने पहली दवाई जो देखी नकली वो 1982 में देखी थी और उसके बाद से दवाइयां चलती रही, लेकिन आज भी 40 साल में there is not a single case reported by any doctor that my patient is being dead because of the fake medicine. हम डॉक्टर साहब कभी भी डॉक्टर के पास जाते हैं, हम उनको कहते हैं मुझे ये बीमारी है, वो एक प्रेस्क्रिप्शन देते हैं। अगर मैं एक हफ्ते बाद फिर वापस जाता हूं, कहता हूं मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ा, तो डॉक्टर हमेशा प्रेस्क्रिप्शन कहते हैं मैं दवाई बदल देता हूं। क्यों उनको कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं है? क्यों वो ये नहीं पता करना चाहते कि मेरा जो कॉम्बिनेशन मैंने आपको दिया था वो बिल्कुल ठीक था, आपको ठीक हो जाना चाहिए था? अगर नहीं है तो मुझे दवाई दिखाइए, कहीं आप नकली दवाई तो नहीं खा रहे हैं। ये कभी कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं उठता है। अब मैं आपके प्रश्न पे आता हूं। मैं अपने 40 साल के पीरियड में मैं 500 से ज्यादा प्रोडक्ट, मोर देन 500 मैंने देखे हैं, और आप इसका असर जो है बहुत छोटी सी बात से समझ सकते हैं। 99% इंडियंस जो हैं सवेरे उठते ही चाय मांगते हैं। सबकी आदत है कि सवेरे उठते ही चाय चाहिए। 40% चाय जो है कोई ब्रांड ले लीजिए, बड़े से बड़ा और छोटे से छोटा, 40% चाय मार्केट के अंदर नकली है। उसमें से 25% ऐसी है जिसमें केमिकल कलर मिले होते हैं। अगर 20 साल हमने वो नकली चाय पी और उसके बाद में एट द एज ऑफ 45, 50 जब कोई बीमारी होती है, डॉक्टर के पास जाते हैं और डॉक्टर डायग्नोज करके ये कहता है आपके लीवर पे एक बहुत छोटा सा स्पॉट दिख रहा है, कहीं कैंसर डेवलप ना हो रहा है, लेकिन वो ये डायग्नोज नहीं कर सकते कि 30 साल इन्होंने ऐसी चाय पी थी या 20 साल ऐसी चाय पी थी जो कलर केमिकल वाली थी, जिसकी वजह से ये हो गया। तो वो जो स्लो पॉइजनिंग है वो आदमी को कैंसर की तरफ ले जाती है। आप 2017-18 की रिपोर्ट देखेंगे तो हिंदुस्तान के अंदर कैंसर के केसेस 324% बढ़ गए हैं। लेकिन हम नहीं सोचते कि ये चाय की वजह से होगा। जो स्किन केसेस हैं, स्किन डिसीजेज हैं, वो बढ़ गई हैं। हम नहीं सोच पाते कि बच्चे को जो जॉनसन एंड जॉनसन का साबुन बचपन में लगाया गया कहीं वो नकली तो नहीं था। लेडीज ये नहीं सोचती कि जो मैं कलर यूज कर रही हूँ बालों में, जो मैं क्रीम यूज कर रही हूँ, जो फेस फाउंडेशन यूज कर रही हूँ, नकली तो नहीं है। वो जैसे जैसे उसमें आपको रिएक्ट करता है, 2 दिन में तो पता नहीं लगता है, स्लो पॉइजन होते हैं, और धीरे धीरे जब आप इसके से परेशान होना शुरू होते हैं तब आप वापस नहीं आ पाते हैं। तो बहुत सारे प्रोडक्ट ऐसे हैं।
सती साहब, I think
एक छोटा सा
जी जी बताइए बताइए।
मैं एक बहुत छोटा सा कहूं, बच्चे को जैसे ही इन्फेंट होता है, वो छोटा बच्चा होता है, हम उसको दूध के लिए निप्पल लाते हैं। आज तक किसी ने नहीं सोचा कि अगर निप्पल नकली है, उस एज में 6 महीने के बच्चे के वो चूस के उस दूध के साथ में किस केमिकल को अंदर ले गया है और आगे जाके इसको क्या नुकसान करेगा।
जी, बहुत important point. They're very important points. What Mr. Sati is talking about is the amount of damage the fake goods cause to people's health long term. And if that awareness doesn't exist and the government doesn't act, we are looking at a much larger issue. The problems that society faces, what Dr. Jaiswal also talked about, is the harm that all of it, causes to somebody's health. Anxiety because of getting a wrong reading on your temperature or the wrong SpO2 levels in our bodies. When we're talking about COVID, for example, when you go into a hospital and say, my SpO2 is higher or actually it's lower, and while it gives you a lower reading, it's probably possibly higher. You're not able to catch cases on time. So certainly it could lead to death, and it has led to death many a times. Now, Mr. Jaiswal, explain to me what Dr. Sati says. There has almost been no doctor who's gone out and actually launched a complaint that this drug that this person possibly ate was a fake drug. Obviously, I understand, as Mr. Khurana also talked about, there are lots of issues around the legal system itself.
But I think in a community, we all have our responsibilities. So my responsibility, if I got to know the drug is fake or it is counterfeit, then it is my responsibility. But again, the problem is that everybody has its own, work, own OPDs, own IPD slots. So everyone is so, busy in doing all this stuff. So it's not getting time to, putting this time. And moreover, this is a broader aspect. We have to think of a broader aspect, and the bigger authorities should and they make a system. I'm just giving an example, something which is called as UDI. There is something called a unique device identification. Now, this UDI is now mandatory. They're planning for it mandatory on all devices throughout the world. So when these types of things are coming into the market, then things going to be, change up. Suppose if you have a signature DNA-like thing on your devices, on your medication, if you have something which is called as silica microtape or barcoding, different type of holograms, that is going to help in a broader aspect. Just effect from a doctor is not going to solve this problem. Secondly, you have to make something. For example, I'm giving example of a company which is known as Pharma Secure Online Company, and you can put your drugs into it. You can show it. You can check it is right or wrong. It is not the responsibility of just if treating physicians, but it's a responsibility of government, responsibility of organization. Like government make a portal on online which is called as Sugam portal. In that portal, you can see about everything, how the drugs are bad, how they are going to the, and moreover, it is the reinforcement of the law, the penalty, the planning, the maintenance, different rates by different department to check the goodness of the drugs. That all count. Yes, it's a duty of physician too, but I think we have to think in a global aspect, in a broader aspect to come to fight against counterfeit.
Sure, no, a very good point, Dr. Jaiswal. I don't think we're putting the blame on the doctors, but what I think Mr. Sati was saying is that we all have to work together to make sure there aren't fake drugs in the market. Now, there is enough technology in the world as well. The point is to be able to integrate it. For example, let's look at a blockchain. If you blockchain every piece of drug that goes into the market or any product that goes into the market, and you can run that blockchain through a QR code, and you would know whether this product or this drug has gone through the right checks and balances, have the taxes been paid on it, where were the taxes paid, where was this product produced. If that can happen, then you will know when you run a wrong QR code that this product is completely fake. It has got no basis in the system itself. And that blockchain is not easy to cheat. Now, these are places where this new technology can be used as we move forward. Mr. Khurana, has there been any initiative for producing such blockchains or ideas like this? Are they in the market? Do you think the government of India is going to go this journey?
So I surely believe that there are many. We have also. I'm also a patent attorney, so I do file patents on inventions that various academic institutions and corporates in India do. And there have surely been many applications of blockchains, not only in other spaces, but also in this very space, where the intent is to essentially identify and associate a unique identifier to each product that is being manufactured by the original manufacturer, which is the OEM, in a manner such that tomorrow, if we have to go to the police station and the SHO there asks us in terms of how do you prove that this is the original product and the one that you've got and are alleging to be a fake product is actually a fake, and then we can actually take him to an authorized website of this nature, which is approved by the government of India, for example, and then tell them that here is the unique identifier associated, and there is either no UID, which is the unique identifier for the fake product, or the one that is there that when we enter it in the website indicates that this is actually a fake product. There have been many. One of the instances Mr. Sati has already told, but then there have been many other not only portals but also apps and applications which could scan the QR code, which could take a photograph, upload it into a server, and then the server will essentially revert back and tell you whether the product is sort of the fake one or not. It's just that that's only one aspect of the story from a detection standpoint as to whether the product is actually a fake product or not. The whole new challenge and the bigger challenge actually is more the sensitization at the police end, so that they cooperate, they take swift action, and that's where the bigger hurdle is, because if the police starts cooperating better and they start taking prompt actions, as in when we go there, go to the site, seize the material, lodge an FIR, and make sure, because please understand that once a criminal raid is initiated by the police and an FIR is lodged, then the case becomes the state of, for example, state of Maharashtra versus that person. It no longer is the case between the original manufacturer and the fake guy. So the original manufacturer actually loses all the rights or all the control over the case sooner the FIR is lodged. So the police is a big intermediary who has to play a serious role in the whole exercise and not just arrest him for a day and release him on bail.
Mr. Khurana, the police is also, because of that intermediary status, they also are the guys who make the biggest amount of money with making sure that they can let the criminal go, because they can continue making that money. And in fact, a lot of the production happens within the auspices of the police. So certainly one of the big challenge areas for India. Swadhin, let me bring you in for a quick answer in terms of you as a young entrepreneur. What do you hope the government of India would do to make sure that your copyright is protected?
I think market should be distinctive. People who need something else should be need should be fulfilled, and want should not be that much of focused on. Plus, there should be like a gradation of things for fabrics and accessories, which can state that okay, fine, this is a second rated or a second grade product, or it's a second grade accessory. This is a third grade fabric, and that is a fourth grade fabric. So a gradation system should be, I feel it should be there, which can state that okay, fine, this is for this the kind of consumer or a client. Fourth or fifth is for a higher consumer. Because what high-end markets do,
how will your IP get protected with that? If you are somebody who's designed something and you want your IP to be protected, how will gradation help your product?
Sir, design is very easy to copy because it mainly focuses on aesthetics, and the function part is what it cannot be copied. Like, let's say a automobile engine cannot be copied, but a automobile color or the design of the automobile can be copied, right? So we can't do much about it, but we can hope that the person who gets a low grade or the gradation system thing, he will at least find need in what he actually gets and what he actually wants.
So the point Swadhin was making is that IP may not get protected in India because it's such a bad system. But I think the point the others are making is IP will have to be enforced. The gradation is not possible in many ways, and when it comes down to products which can very easily be copied and they don't have an engine behind them, then the gradation may not work. So the point is, the government will have to act, the police will have to act, which means there needs to be more honesty around that system. Mr. Sati, aapke closing thoughts. What is the first step you would like the government to take फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, जिससे हम पक्का डिटरमिन कर सकें कि फेक मार्केट के ऊपर प्रहार हो जाएगा और काफी लोग एक्ट करेंगे इसके ऊपर?
जैसे मैंने शुरुआत में कहा सर कि जिम्मेवारी सभी की है, हर आदमी रिस्पॉन्सिबल है, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं हर आदमी के पास एक्सक्यूज भी है। अभी बात हो रही थी ब्लॉकचेन की। ब्लॉकचेन एक कंपनी है, जिसने दवाइयों की कंपनी है, जिसने अपने प्रोडक्ट पे पिछले 2010 में ब्लॉकचेन शुरू किया कि आप इस पे एसएमएस कीजिए और एसएमएस करते ही आपको पता लग जाएगा कि ये दवाई नकली है या असली है। 10 साल से यूज कर रहे हैं, लेकिन अभी पिछले महीने रेड में 1 करोड़ का उनका माल जो है पकड़ा गया है नकली। तो सिर्फ उस ब्लॉकचेन को यूज करने से ही इसका काम पूरा नहीं हो जाएगा। हमें कम से कम अवेयरनेस उसकी चाहिए, और अवेयरनेस सिर्फ कंज्यूमर के पास ही नहीं, डिपार्टमेंट के पास भी चाहिए। कई बार हम कहते हैं कि सीडीएस को ड्रग कंट्रोल की ये सारी जिम्मेवारी बनती है ड्रग कंट्रोल को पकड़ना चाहिए नकली दवाइयां, लेकिन वो किसी दूसरे के ब्रांड को वो कैसे पकड़ सकते हैं जबकि उसके स्पेसिफिकेशन उनके पास नहीं है, वो खुद बनाते नहीं है, बनाती कोई कंपनी उस दवाई को बनाती है, और हम जिम्मेवारी समझते हैं कि बगैर किसी के बच्चे को ढूंढ के लाया जाए, जबकि उसकी फोटो भी नहीं है, आइडेंटिफिकेशन भी नहीं, कुछ भी नहीं है। ड्रग कंट्रोल को कैसे हम कह देते हैं? फिर वो ड्रग कंट्रोल जो है एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव डिपार्टमेंट है, वो जासूस नहीं है। और जहां पर वो ड्रग सैंपल्स लेते हैं तो वो शेल्फ में नहीं रखे होते, वो तो गोडाउन में रखे होते हैं। जो शेल्फ में रखे होते हैं वो कभी कभी कुछ आ जाते हैं, उसमें सब स्टैंडर्ड निकल जाते हैं। तो ड्रग कंट्रोल को भी सारा नहीं। इसके लिए सबसे पहले चाहिए सरकार, इसमें कानून भी बहुत अच्छा है, हिंदुस्तान में कानून की भी कोई कमी नहीं कहता, लेकिन सबको पहले एक प्लेटफॉर्म पे आना पड़ेगा, एक जिम्मेवारी किसी की सेट करनी पड़ेगी। जब तक एक प्लेटफॉर्म पे नहीं आएंगे और जिम्मेवारी किसी की सेट नहीं होगी, तब तक वो हर आदमी ये कहेगा मैं तो अपनी तरफ से पूरा कर रहा हूं।
You're absolutely right, Mr. Sati.
मैं थोड़ा सा कंप्लीट कर लूं। आप ये देखिए कि 40 साल हमने रेड किया, 1 ट्रिलियन की ये पैरेलल ब्लैक इकोनॉमी है। उसके बावजूद भी कभी जब माल पकड़ा गया, नकली माल पकड़ा गया, क्या उसमें फसाई बीच में आया कि मेरा भी तो यहां पर नकली के ऊपर वो लोगो यूज कर रखा है, इसने मेरा लोगो कैसे यूज किया? क्या कभी रेवेन्यू डिपार्टमेंट आया कि इतना सामान पकड़ा गया, 1 करोड़ का ये सामान पकड़ा गया, तो रेवेन्यू का भी तो लॉस है, मेरा भी तो है, मैं भी इस पे केस बनाऊंगा? कोई नहीं, सिर्फ एक कॉपीराइट का केस बना। और ब्रांड के लिए मैं एक बहुत बड़ी चीज कहना चाहता हूं, ब्रांड एक के पास बजट नहीं है। सभी कहते हैं, अभी डॉक्टर खुराना साहब ने भी कहा कि बहुत एक्सपेंसिव है, बजट नहीं है, लेकिन एक बड़े मेरे मित्र हैं, इंडस्ट्री से रिटायर्ड है, बहुत सीनियर पोजीशन में, वो हंसते हैं, कहते हो कि इट्स अ जोक। एक मेरे कंज्यूमर जो है, मेरे नकली सामान से कैंसर हो जाता है, मैं उसके लिए बजट नहीं है मेरे पास, लेकिन मैं ही सीएसआर में 500 करोड़ का कैंसर हॉस्पिटल बनाता हूं। तो क्या मैं पहले अपने कंज्यूमर को बीमार करके उसके बाद सीएसआर में उसके लिए कंज्यूमर हॉस्पिटल बना रहा हूं? क्यों नहीं बजट हो सकता? सरकार इस पे अपनी थोड़ी सी पॉलिसी चेंज करे, सीएसआर को उसमें ले आए।
Sati, let me structure what the argument you're making. What Mr. Sati is saying, there are many departments that can actually take action, but they don't take action. There's a reason they don't take action. Reason for it. It's not as if they don't want to. If they could, they would, but they want to make sure that they make money on the back end. They're all paid off, and nobody takes these actions. And what's required is a coordinated response. People such as Mr. Sati, Mr. Khurana need to be in bodies such as these to be able to establish and weed out this fake counterfeiting market from India. Until India takes strides in this direction, until India gets serious about creating a much better nation, it's not going to happen. Thanks for watching It Matters, and we'll continue our journey to making sure bringing the stories that matter to you. Thank you, good night, and good luck.